It's a constant, continuous, ongoing process. Solving the world's problems. There's no end to it, when you get down to it. And one thing that's true in life, something I've come to the conclusion of, based on observation, not just based on simply thinking about it, but observing and realizing that everybody's biased. Have any of us ever encountered a person who is not biased? We all are. That includes me. I'm not an exception to the rule. We all are biased in one form or another. So none of us will ever see reality perfectly. We'll never have an undistorted view of reality. But there are a lot of times when people act like they have an undistorted view of things, as if they're speaking from this perfect, objective view, as if they were outside of everything. They were objective. They were looking at the whole of reality from the outside and seeing things clearly. It makes me think about something. I have a book here. I will actually look at this. Huxley and God. Aldous Huxley wrote another book called The Doors of Perception. But, this book is an excellent book, by the way. Whether you're an atheist or a believer or whatever, this is a really good book. It talks a lot about religion and God. And, basically, it's really a bunch of essays by Aldous Huxley. Aldous Huxley's religious view is kind of up in the air. A lot of people say that he was definitely agnostic. Whether or not he was an atheist, I don't know. But he spoke a lot about the religious experience and about things like that. Of course, he's also famous for using certain drugs, some of those psychedelic drugs. But he wrote several books, by the way, novels, including Brave New World, which, by the way, is going to be made into a movie. Supposedly, I heard it was supposed to come out later this year or maybe next year. And the movie is going to be starring Leonardo DiCaprio. And it's going to be directed by Ridley Scott. And it'll be interesting to see his book turn into a movie, which actually has been done a couple of times before. But nothing really big. But his book, he wrote Brave New World back in 1931. But Huxley looked at religion in a way that I can go along with that, with a lot of what he said about religion. But, one thing I think about, and I just brought him up just because I had to, say that. Read Huxley. He's one of the great thinkers of all time. He's one of the people that Maslow, Maslow had a list, Abraham Maslow had a list of people, self-actualized people. Einstein being one of them. There's another book, Einstein and Buddha. It's interesting. A lot of these books are comparing things that, the world of physics to the world of Buddhism and Eastern thought. Interesting. Just interesting stuff. But let me get back into this continuous ongoing process. Solutions to problems. Tomorrow morning, there's not going to be somebody who's going to come up with a single solution to every problem in the world. That's not going to happen. I doubt it. I'm very skeptical. I would be very surprised if that ever happens. It's always a constant working it out process because the world is constantly changing. Things are constantly happening. We may be able to settle things for a moment here and settle some things over there for a moment. We might be able to feed a few people over here, but then, some other thing happened. Now we got to go help those people. Then some other stuff happened. We got to be somewhere else. And other people are going to be helping us. And there's going to be natural disasters and some unnatural disasters. And there's always going to be something. And we're always looking for answers. And I think it's important that we continue to look. But we'll never reach an end. However, it is important that we continue the process, that we don't just stop. It's important. It's just really important. So I look at things and say, okay, we come up with solutions. I may reach a truce with someone, but you never know how things can happen. It's always for the moment. That's all I have to say. I'm drinking my wine because I gotta have my wine. Philip, you like your wine? Yes, I do. Wonderful. Vintage 19 whatever.